Hello and welcome. This is the market wrap. Well, it's another historic day with the Sensex now in uncharted territory at lifetime highs, and the Nifty following suit, but well, just short of that new lifetime high. We've seen gains all the same for both the benchmark indices, and investors out there certainly will be waiting on the Nifty to also move and hit that new high. But we're gonna, while we wait, let's also address what's happened in the markets today. We've had a spurt in Tata Motors, that's up 7.5%, followed by Hindalco, Wipro and Tata Steel. Wipro showing well up is 2.7%, so some strength there as well. And we've seen strength in Maruti Suzuki as well. Vedanta, Reliance Industries also continuing to advance. Of course, heavyweight Reliance Industries providing a bulk of the gains in today's day of trade. Z Entertainment, UPL, Eicher Motors and Indian Oil Corp bearing down on the indices, along with IndusInd Bank, all declining by over 2 to 3%. Now, when it comes to the broader markets, and the NSE 500 is reflective of your advanced decline ratio on the National Stock Exchange as a whole. Two gainers for one loser. Andhra Bank and Lakshmi Vilas Bank are right at the top of the gaining list, followed by PNB Housing Finance, Welspun Corp, RB Infra, as well as JNK Bank, all advancing in trade. Intellect Design Arena seeing a spurt on account of a large deal signed. Future Lifestyle Fashions, REC, Reliance Communications, Prestige Estates and CG Power on the losing end. Some weakness there, but the momentum, as you can see, lies with the gainers in today's day of trade. And on that note, I'm going to get in our markets editor, Neeraj Shah, for his thoughts. Neeraj, what have you made of the trading session today?
Well, maybe you could argue that a bit of a disappointment simply because we came off from the highs of the day, but nothing too alarming. Maybe markets do that, hit a high and then come back. At times they hit a high and keep on going further. So today there was a bit of a resistance at the high levels. One would have thought that it would come at the Nifty high levels, but it's come at the Sensex high levels nevertheless. Banks cooling off a little bit as well. Let's just wait and watch. Too early to probably make a judgment. The only thing is that the world markets are looking happy even now. I mean, when we shut shop, Europe was doing very strong. US futures were looking pretty reasonable. And if flows are conducive, then this could be a day or two odd of a pullback before we start resuming. Though I think all eyes on flows, whether what happened on Friday was a one-off, or whether flows are taking a breather after having the strongest month that we had of monthly flows in NSDL history. So I think all depends on that number and what happens, because otherwise nothing near term to warrant this, if at all. April 4th is a trigger, and that trigger for now seems to be on the positive side as opposed to on the negative side.
Absolutely. Well, Neeraj, thank you for that perspective. So that's the big event that we're watching out for, at least in the near term, the RBI reserve, or rather the RBI policy. But let's talk about the auto sector for a bit. We have Yatin Motors joining us to give us an update on all the numbers that have come in so far. Yatin, how are the numbers looking?
Quite weak and on broadly expected lines for the four-wheeler companies and the commercial vehicle companies which have come out. Talking with Maruti to start with, we have the sales which were down 2% year on year. So Maruti again a weak set of monthly numbers for the month of March. Ashok Leyland domestic sales were down 5%. This is on the back of the total truck sales and the medium and heavy commercial vehicle sales, which were down 8% for the domestic market. Tractors, this is one segment which has seen a very muted growth this time. In fact, we're talking about a decline for Mahindra & Mahindra by over 31%. Escorts were broadly flat. Talking about Mahindra & Mahindra automotive segment also, here we have seen a flattish kind of a growth trend. Of course, this is to do with the fact that the commercial vehicle sales or the truck sales for Mahindra & Mahindra were down 33%. However, that was compensated because of the uptick in the UV sales on the back of new launches. So the UV sales for the month of March were up by only 5%. And in general, if you talk about the two-wheeler players, none of them have reported numbers yet. But barring Bajaj Auto, we could see some high single-digit and mid double-digit kind of a decline, especially for Hero MotoCorp. The expectation is that there could be a 10-15% decline in monthly volumes for March.
Okay, yeah, well, we'll be watching out for more numbers there, Yatin, but thank you for joining us and taking us through those numbers. But moving on, we do have one stock in the chemical industry which is under a bit of a pressure, and perhaps for good reason. For that, let me bring in Yash Upadhyay to give us an update on that. Yash, what do you have for us?
So we're talking about SRF over here, and it was from the word get-go under pressure in today's day of trade, but it managed to recover most of its losses. And this is on the back of the Gujarat Pollution Control Board issuing an order for the company to shut down all of its operations at its Dahej plant, which is the largest plant for the company, with nearly 70% of its chemicals business revenues coming from that arm. This was on the back of an inspection that the Pollution Board conducted on the 25th of March, following which it found out the company to have 2 tankers which were unauthorized, carrying highly concentrated effluents, as well as the fact that they have installed a calcium chloride plant as well, without the necessary approvals, on the back of which they have advised the power distributor companies to shut down any supply of electricity, as well as order the company to completely stop any sort of activity at this plant. The company meanwhile is in the process of filing a detailed report with the board and taking all the remedial steps in order to resume production, on the back of which we saw that the stock came under pressure in the early half of the day, falling by as much as 5%, but it managed to recover and then still ended a slightly weak, about 2% lower, but SRF was in focus today.
Okay, Yash, thank you for getting us those details. SRF under pressure, as was the case for the auto industry, even as the benchmark indices continue to make life highs. Where do we go from here? What do we do? Well, all eyes on RBI's policy, credit policy, as we move into the next few sessions, and that perhaps can set the tone for how the markets will react. And of course, don't forget, a little later on in the month, we will also have elections coming through. On that note, it's a wrap on this edition of the Market Wrap. I lost my lineup. Stay tuned to Bloomberg Quit, and we'll keep bringing you more.